How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious, and this is Dr. D's, Corey, and Sebastian Canes. We're talking about the big issue right now. I mean, I figured we had to get a little roundtable together because banners in this game suck right now. And I think it's on the tip of everyone's tongue. It's even further than the tip for a lot of people because it's kind of the complaints we all get left, right, and center.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
All right, so I figure we can all introduce ourselves. I am Fastidious. How you doing, Dr. D's?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about these rate-up banners. Let's go.
Let's go. How you doing, Corey? How's Texas?
I'm doing good. It's about a storm right now. It's amazing. I love it. But I'm ready to go ahead and talk about these banners as well.
Beautiful. And Sebastian, I know you're ready.
Oh, you know it. We cover issues in the podcast, so this is just another one to talk about.
Yeah, actually, perfect segue. All these guys have a ton of amazing content. Sebastian has his podcast and his channel. Dr. D's and Corey both have fantastic channels. You'll find links to everything in the description and the top pinned comment. I would hope a lot of you guys are already subscribed to these fantastic creators, but if you are not, do that. Please do that. It will give you good karma and you'll probably win a takeover in the future or something. Anyway, let's get into it. So banners in this game are dog water. Like, let's be honest. It's hard to complain at times, I feel like, because Moonton and Watch of Realms is as generous a game and as generous a developer when it comes to giving us the summons. But at some point, we don't care if you give us 100 or 1,000 or 1 million summons if it feels like we have no shot to hit that hero. So I've put the beautiful Numera behind us. I know a lot of viewers because you guys told me the comments and in the DMs and on my server, Fast and Fastidious, check it out, link in the description. But you guys told me how horrible it went for you. And I did a lot of summons for you guys, and I saw it. I figure we could kick this video off, kick this roundtable discussion off by we can each tell our worst horror story. Like, so we were hunting for a banner rate up hero, and we missed and missed and missed. Who wants to start? Who's got a really depressing one to set the tone?
I'll go ahead and start. I've had two bad ones. Numera was definitely one of them. I got 2 lords and 7 other legendaries in about 2,000 summons, roughly. Right. And then after that, it has to be Wukong. Like, I can't remember the last time I had a good summoning experience, but Wukong, 17 legendaries, 1 Wukong, and that was from the 200. No luck.
That is awful. So you hit the guarantee and you never hit again?
Nope.
And when you were Numera hunting and you hit the lords and all those extra legendaries, did you ever end up getting her?
Nope.
Oh my God. Jeez. All right.
It was a great time.
Yeah. How about you, Dr. D's?
I'm not really a whale, so I don't have like 1,700 summons that I go all out on. But what I do have is every single limited hero banner on my main account. My free-to-play gets lucky, but my main account, I always have to go the distance. Before it was 250, then they changed it to 200, made it a little better, but at the same time, I don't think there has ever been a single time. Maybe Lust was the only one where I actually got her early. All the rest of them, I always had to go the distance. And, you know, it's unfortunate with the limited banners, especially because you want to get as many copies as possible, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it hurts because I'm sure you guys are the same. And I'm sure a lot of people watching the video, every time I convince myself it's going to be different.
And then it never is.
What about you, Sebastian?
Well, because it was recent, I think that this one is the one that sticks to mind, is the second round that Anora came about. So the first time that she did appear, at least I was able to get her to A1. But in this second one, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was around 1,400 summons with all the rare crystals that I was able to get and the diamonds that I had. It was around 1,400 and I only got the guaranteed. And I think it was a total of 9 legendaries, and only one of them ended up being Anora. So that's, I think, that the worst one in terms of that rate up banner has been so far.
That's crazy. I'll quickly say mine. This one had a happy-ish ending, but it was a brutal experience. I did just over 1,400 summons to try to get an extra copy of Diao Chan to get her A1. And I believe I got her on my 14th or 15th legendary after the guarantee. So that's how many after the 200 I got. And the rates were actually good, but not for her. So it stung a little harder, even though it was lucky. And then I'll say for Wukong, both times I did over 700 summons. I finally just got him. This time I got beyond the guarantee. But in total, I believe I've pulled 1,600 or 1,700 summons for Wukong. beyond the guarantee, and I've only hit one extra. So I think we all got a story. Viewers, if you have a story worse than any of those or just something you want to vent about, let us know in the comments. I'll be sure to read them, drop an unhappy face, something like that. But yeah, let's get off and running. Let's actually talk about what we think. I mean, I think a lot of us have played all different kinds of games. I thought telling our little nightmare stories would be a good introduction to the problem. I'll say very concisely, the problem as I see it is this game is in a unique position because they let you summon more than almost any other game I've ever played, which is a very cool feeling. But because you're doing such a high quantity, you get to swing and miss more than any game I've ever played, right? So let's just talk about a game where you don't get a lot of summons. Raid Shadow Legends. I don't pull many legendaries. But because I don't pull many legendaries, I'm not swinging and missing as much. I'm not saying it's better. It still sucks in its own special way, but it's a different problem. This problem is very Watcher Realms Moonton specific, and I think that's why it affects people so in such a weird way, because I feel like part of, at least for me, I don't want to complain about it because I'm like, you're giving us so many opportunities. Obviously, I get my content creator diamonds, but even as an end game free to play, you will get 200 summons, like to guarantee a pity, every 3 weeks for sure, between your diamonds and your summons for sure. And that's really generous and that's really cool. But if you're swimming and missing and you're getting your A7 abomination every time, it just hurts. So what do you think about it, Deez? You've had some similar shots to the soul as you swing and miss.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I feel that every gacha game is, it's RNG. RNG is sometimes it's on your side, most times it's not, right? But with this game, like you said, they're very generous with the summons. But to get the banner hero, it's like some people's accounts are just like very, very unlucky and they never get the banner hero. And I've seen a lot of people, well, not a lot, but I've seen a good portion of people that, they're just leaving the game because they're not getting the heroes they want. And, it's a little demoralizing, you're like, oh shoot, I don't want to play this game anymore. I never get the banner hero. And, I think that they definitely need to fix this.
Yeah. And I actually think demoralizing is a good way to put it, because it's like, because we get so many opportunities and then so many of us fail so many times, you feel that demoralizing sting in your soul more frequently, and it just starts really weighing down on you. And yeah, I mean, I'll be frank, I know a lot of players that have left because of this.
Correct.
What are you thinking, Corey?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree, because whenever you go ahead and, as we have mentioned, right, we're able to go ahead and do about 1,000 plus summons. Now, imagine you go do those 1,000 plus summons in a different game. It doesn't feel as bad because, well, sorry, let's go backwards. With a different game, you don't get 1,000 summons. In this game, you get 1,000 summons, so you get to see the vast disparity of, I went ahead and summoned 1,000 times, I got 5 Pharisee. Or you see in the other sense, right? I went ahead and summoned 5,000 times, and I was trying to go for Wukong, I got 20 crashes. Right? You really feel the disparity of your summons. And then also one thing that I think doesn't get addressed or like noticed is you see what other people summon in the chat.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very demoralizing thing. And I will never forget this. And I'll always bring this up every time I get a chance to. The Paradise banner for Christmas felt very interesting. Yeah. When you saw the chat and you saw everyone get Paradise. Well, nowadays, it's hard to think about when was the last time a person had a good summoning experience. And I think that kind of compounds over time as well, because we see all these vast amounts of data saying we're getting these units and the rates might be equalized, but they don't feel that way. And that's a really big sentiment towards how the players feel.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on something with the Paradis thing and just like seeing everything else around you, because yeah, the rates are low, better than some games, but they are low. So the average person is statistically supposed to miss most of the time. You're supposed to hit 1 in 5 times, which means it's pretty easy and within the realm of possibility to miss 8 times or miss 10 times. But also the rates aren't so low that some people won't hit 3 times in a row. So then you have to see that. And that's like having that dichotomy of, you're like, I saved for months, or I spent all this money, I swiped, and I did an offer. But then this guy, free to play, I was watching Fastidious' stream or Dr. D's stream or Corey or Sebastian or Susie or whatever, and they did 80 pulls and he got 3 Praetus. That happened. I pulled someone 3 Praetus in 80 pulls, right? I had someone where I went on the Praetus banner. I went Praetus, then a 10 pull with Praetus and Ingrid, and then Praetus. And it was like in a total of 31 summons. We got 3 Praetus and an Ingrid. It's just unbelievable, right? So that's going to happen. But because we all get enough opportunities, some people, you just see it and then it gets posted on Discord or you see in the comments. And yeah, I mean, the general sentiment, maybe you could speak to this, Sebastian. I see in my comments, I just think you guys do too, is I make a should you summons video and people are like, who cares? I'm not going to get it anyway.
Yep.
That has been the growing sentiment, especially when I did a query to the player base about how are you feeling about these raid up banners right now? And so I think that given the most recent now banners that we had, especially with the poison meta that they were advertising, and what really compounded this was the fact that they came right after those. They came right with the Zoom 1 comp banner, a hero that a lot of players are probably going to be chasing. So by that time, there was already this feeling of weariness, exhaustion, is frustration, because they were so keen on trying to put this poison meta together and they failed at acquiring even one of the heroes. And not only that, given that it's a raid up where we have another hero that is accompanying the new one. And I don't know if you saw this in your comments, Fasti, but there is this perception that the hero, the original hero or the older hero, has this slanted rate because people just seem to have pulled 3 Valarayas and they didn't get Vorn, or it was Numera, maybe it was the other one. So there's that perception built in that the rates are not the same as well. So yes, with all of this, that is just compounding the issue of trying to elevate your account to what the new content has been released. And like Dr. D said, those that don't feel like they're ever going to get there, they're just saying, it's time. Maybe it's time to look for another game.
Yeah. And I think that's compounded because a lot of the new content is like so hero specific. So you're like, well, I don't have Soul Cadence, right? Like I don't have Aelin. This is my shot. Like I got to go get Numera. I got to get Nastia, got to get Vorn and then Narissa. And then it's like a lot of people are going to swing and miss on all of them. And you're like, all right, so that was the new chance I had and it went right out the window. So, I mean, it hurts. So I think we all did a good job summing up the problem. Maybe let's try to be a little more constructive and move to a solution. A million things have been said. A big thing I wanted to touch on, I probably should have mentioned it slightly early in the video, but like, part of the reason I wanted to have this discussion is because the devs are thinking of making a change. If you guys don't know, they do the dev Q&A on the official Watch Realms Discord. Let me pull that up right now. And they really go out of their way to answer a bunch of questions. Sometimes you get these political, vague, blah, blah, blah answers, but pretty consistently lately, if they have a tone and a way of saying things, and then you know it's true. So like they said, people are like, bring back Wukong, and they go, he's scheduled. That means he's soon, right? As opposed to bring back Kagiri, and they say, we're planning it. That's their way of saying he's coming, but we don't have a date set yet. One thing that's been going on lately, you guys can go through this yourself. I already took some screenshots to make it easier for the viewer. You can see it says, these are 2 different things a week apart. So it was the May 28th Dev Q&A, and it was the one today, June the 3rd. Twice they also choose which questions to feature, right? Hundreds of questions are brought in. Twice they chose to highlight this issue, and twice they went out of their way to say they're having internal discussions. That's what they keep calling it. We are having internal discussions about how to refine the pity system of raid up heroes. Once confirmed, it will be immediately implemented into the game. This is the one from today. We had a similar answer last week. This was, again, just someone complaining, somewhat rightfully so, I think a lot of us would say, about the banner rates. They say, thanks for your suggestion. The current overall drop rate of summoning banners meets our expectation. However, we are having an internal discussion about the issue regarding the summoning experience. We will consider making some improvements. So in 1 week, they went from considering to, if it does happen, we're considering it, it will happen immediately. Something's going to change. So this is the positive, right? So I'm going to send this video for sure to Moonton and to our contacts. I would really encourage the viewers, if you have suggestions or you hear solutions we recommend that you like, let us know in the comments. Or if you've got fresh ones, definitely let us know. I think they're definitely considering it. It's been 2 weeks in a row, behind the scenes with creators. They've also said, what do you guys think about the banner pity? They've broached the subject. So it's on their mind. They see it as a problem, which is pretty productive. So I figure, I don't know, anybody have a good solution they want to throw out? I've got a couple things written down, but let me open it up to you guys. Anything on your minds?
I have a couple things on my mind. I didn't write anything down, but The first thing is, this isn't really with the rate up, but I think that this would be very beneficial to the game. And what we could do is I've been pitching this a couple times on my live streams. What we could do is a choose your own limited. I think that would be something that would be very cool. And also it would make it to where players would want to, there's a lot of people that they really want Kagiri. They really need Kagiri. And there could also be other heroes that they don't have yet that they're like, oh man, that would be cool if we could choose our own limited, maybe on like a Christmas thing or something like that. Just come out with maybe not as far as Christmas. That's actually a far time away, but just doing a choose your own limited, I think that would be beneficial for the game. But as for the rate up, my biggest thing is it's not necessarily the rate up itself. It's the fact that there will be 2 heroes on a banner. Let's say the last one was not the last one, but for instance, the Numera banner. And who was with Numera?
Valeria.
There was Valeria. Okay. I feel like for every 5 Valerios, there was 1 Numera. And I'm like, are they really both 20 time? Like, a lot of people, I feel like there's a lot more Valerios than there are Numeras. And I feel like this is a trend. Like even with the Vorin banner, everybody was pulling Helga. One guy told me that he pulled 4 Helgas and 0 Vorins. Yeah. Like I was like, dang. So I think he said he got her to A5 and he had 2 more copies to sell in the Awakening shop. That's a problem. Like, it's not necessarily to me like, oh, we need to fix the rate up more as how about we even it out? I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it is, but I just feel like the more the hero that nobody wants on the banner, everybody pulls, and the hero that everybody wants, the new hero, whatever the case might be, they're very, very rare. So that's my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, I tracked 3 banners in a row. It was Malric and Arrogance. Then it was Valeria and Numera, and whatever the one in between. I apologize. Every time the newer hero was less pulled. Now, there can be some confirmation bias in who chooses to report, but I covered many thousands of legendaries pulled. So that's hundreds of thousands of summons. To me, there was a clear trend. Moonton obviously publicly stated, hey, we looked into the thing Fastidious posted about and did the study on, and it looks good on our end, but they didn't provide us any evidence, right? I know a lot of creators chose to believe them. I'm not saying I do or I don't. I am saying I'd like to see evidence or proof or a change. So you kind of talked about they could even it out. Even if they evened it out, statistically, some people will still swing and miss 10 times, as I like to say it, right? So what I'd like to see, I've seen a lot of people talk about like Genshin Impact. They would have a rate up character. If you miss, it'd be a 50% chance you'd get that character. If you missed, the next legendary quality character you hit was guaranteed to be the rate up character. So I've heard a lot of people suggest that. That is impossible in Launcher Realms. It'd be completely broken. Why? Because in Genshin, they get about 10% the summons we get. But what they could do, and maybe we could spitball numbers here, I'm sure Corey and Sebastian, you guys have ideas as well. Like, is it if you miss 3 times in a row, the next one's guaranteed? Is it 6 times? Is it 3? Is it 5 times? Like, what's the sweet spot? What I would suggest, unfortunately, they haven't loaded in the new banner because the update's coming tomorrow night. But imagine we had some banner artwork on one of these summoning portals. Let me go over here. And like we had the Numera on one side and the Valeria on the other. Maybe you could click your preferred hero for that banner, and then that's the one that will trigger if you miss 3 times in a row, or if you miss 5 times in a row, or if you miss 7 times in a row. Like, as long as people knew they could plan their summons for it. What do you think, Corey?
That's actually exactly what I was going to suggest. I think the sweet spot should be around 5, and then the next one should be about 10. Now, the reason for that is because with 5, it means you're guaranteed one of the banner heroes, and then by 10, you're guaranteed the second one. Because one of the things that's...
Are you saying 10 total or 10 after the 5?
10 after the 5.
Okay.
So 15 in totality. And even though this is a high number, it's because essentially you don't want to just force guarantee every single time you just hoard your summons. You're going to go ahead and stack up 20 awakenings for the unit, right? That's a cautionary tale. And then with that, you can even tweak it and say, okay, after your first pull of a legendary, the next 4, if you don't get it, the 5th is going to be one of the banner heroes. And then the 10th one from the very beginning, that's the second one. That way you can at least say you got both units. And that gives people a out in terms of, okay, I don't want to just continue to pull, because we've seen how valuable limited heroes are. There's 2 in particular that are basically worth every soul stone you can get. right?
Yeah.
So it at least gives people the ability to get the units and then decide what they want to do with them afterwards.
Yeah. Another thing they could do, and then we'll go to you, Sebastian, is they could have a certain, because a lot of people are going to be like, well, 5 legendaries, I can't pull 5 legendaries on one banner. What you could do is have that banner pity, as I think of it, roll over, right? So let's say you're a free to play and you can only do 1 or 2 legendaries on a banner. So you wait for a banner you want, it's Numera. Let's say you get lucky and you hit 3 legendaries and 200 summons, but none of them are Numera. Then when the Vorn banner comes next week, or the Pharisee banner, or now the Hex banner is going to come this weekend, you know, within 2 legendaries, you're going to hit your selection. So you're going to hit Hex or whoever you're highlighting. Maybe Zaris if you want him on this banner. But I think that would be a way to do it that becomes a lot more accessible. I don't know if 5, then 10 more is the number, but definitely it should get harder and harder, because otherwise a whale's like, yeah, I'll pull 25 legendaries. Give me A5, and that's hugely problematic. That's not as expensive as people think it is by a normal person's terms, sure. But by whale's terms, like, I get a maxed out character for whatever it is, $1,800 or something. Every Kraken would do that. What do you think, Sebastian? You do it.
That was one of the suggestions that I did put up to them. It was to guarantee one of the rate up heroes after the 4th hit, right? So if you already missed 3 times, maybe the 4th time, you get one of the rate up heroes. The only concern with that, at least from the player base that I spoke to, is that they're not going to get the hero that they're looking for. That was the only thing. Then the other one was picking the preferred hero on the banner, and then if you miss, you would just scale that up 25x, 30x, 40x, 50x, and then hopefully you hit it, right? But at least from what I was told, is that there is a limitation here where they can't split them up. So if they're going to increase the rate up, it has to be for all the heroes included. And so if something like that does happen, I hope that they only stick to 2, and then they'll start adding more heroes, right? Because you're eventually going to hit the rate up, and they're going to try to dilute it that way. But those were the 2 that I had suggested, is that if you don't want to guarantee it, that at least scale it up and make sure that there's a visual tracker that people can keep track of. They actually can see it. But again, some of the players don't trust the system as it is. So it's going to be one of those things that they're going to have to figure out a way how to rebuild that trust, and at the same time put a system where they at least are given some hope to the player that is summoning or decided to invest all the resources that I have accrued from the time that they decided to do so in that particular manner, a chance. So we'll see exactly how they roll it out. But those were the 2 that I had, that I shared. And the other thing, it was spread out the banners a little bit, so at least people have a chance to accumulate more resources, so then they can go for that hero. So Born, I think, could have waited a week. So could have SWK. But I know they have a schedule that they're trying to keep up. I understand all of this. But that would be ways to resolve some of these issues going on right now in the game.
I will say, I do push back on the last point. A lot of comments and a lot of people on Discord that I hear from, they tend to say, like, they need to give us more time. That's like inherently very against the entire business model of a gacha game. So I just think that's untenable. I do think specifically with the poison meta that they chose to hype for a month, and they actually teased banners for the first time ever, and then they drop a surprise Wukong. This felt everyone called it Polari on me, right? Like, it was like a next level of calculation. It felt dirtier, and I do agree with that. But in general, I do like to preach to viewers, like, you have to pick and choose unless you're a Kraken, right? It's the only way. Like, you have to make choices. You're not supposed to summon on every banner. There has to be a rate up every weekend or every other weekend. That is the entire model of this game. You're playing a slot machine game. If you can't accept that, I just think you need to find another game. I don't mean that in a nasty way, but like, people are like, why do they keep adding new heroes? Like, this is a hero collector. If we run out of things, it's the entire model. So I do want to speak to that. You touched on the idea of a progressive, which I think some people might have a bad connotation because of some other games that have bad progressives. But because we still have a very narrow pool in this game, a progressive would be so powerful. Yes, you could get unlucky, but the unlucky would not be every banner. I'm the guy that never hits the banner hero. It'd be like, oh, did you hear? He didn't hit. That it would be turned on its head, because if we had a progressive building And we started at the 20% we're used to, or the 19%, and then it went to 25, and then it went to 30, and then it stopped at 35%. It would be very hard to miss 5 times in a row. You want to say something, Deez?
Okay, so if they did do a progressive, my only thing is I wouldn't want it to be a progressive and like the Vorn banner. We're going to get Helga at 35 time. That's
absolutely.
Like there should be some control on that.
So I think there's 2 ways to control that. There's one, the thing we both talked about, I think it was me and you, Corey, where you can like pre-select your preferred hero. That's one way. Yep. If Moonton thinks that's not going to be like financially successful enough for them, they could do both, but then you have to make the progressive pretty aggressive, So then if the progressive was going to ramp up 20, 30, 40, 50, if you hit 8, it'd be very hard not to hit both banner heroes at that point. I could do the math. If people want, that could be a separate video if they introduce anything like this. But at that point, you're talking about like a 75, 80% plus chance. So yes, you could still get unlucky, but it would be more like oh no, that was the banner I got unlucky, as opposed to the 1 banner in 10 where someone got lucky, which is how it feels now. Anybody else have any extra thoughts about this? I think there's a lot of cool ideas out there.
If I can, just to do like a brief devil's advocate to your comment about, the schedule should be whatever the schedule is to the business model. My only rebuttal to that, Fastidious, is if you don't have a customer base, you're not going to have a business.
True.
And right now there is an attrition of players, especially Krakens and whales. You can look at my cluster, you can look at the upper level guilds. They're losing players. Their players are leaving because of this very thing that is going on with the rate up heroes and the rate up banners, and the fact that they don't see a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to the end game content. Now, before we even started this, I went and looked at the download numbers of the new app, and that app has been out for, I want to say 3-4 months. It hasn't reached the 20,000 mark yet.
Yeah.
They're not bringing new players in to replace those players. So if you're not bringing in new players to replace the old ones, you're not going to have a business to begin with. So you're going to have to, at least temporarily, scale back your scheduling, at least, to maintain the player base that you have. And then you're going to have to turn on the recruitment ads to bring more players. And then you can formalize the business model you were thinking about.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's an amazing point. I think these developers, especially in the gacha genre, they're very scared to move away from the business model that they originally made money from. But there does come a breaking point where it's like, hey, if you keep doubling, tripling, quadrupling down, you're going to hemorrhage money. Like, I'm just going to use Raid again because it's the most successful of like the medieval dark fantasy gacha genre. Like, without a doubt, Raid has left so many millions of dollars on the table because they've stuck to their practices that made them blow up in COVID and in 2020 when they were a very unique, hot thing. The game is so popular and so big and has such a following and a YouTube presence and it has persisted, but the numbers have dipped and then hit a hard plateau. There's been no growth, right? But they're just making enough money. It's fine. And I do think that's something developers, it's hard. It's like, how do I move away with this if the money's still coming in? It's hard to realize if we took this like calculated risk, which I think all of us players and content creators don't think is a risk, you actually wouldn't be losing money. You'd be making money because like you said, I mean, let's give an example, right? Like, I don't think he'd mind me saying it. It was pretty public. The top player, one of the top players in the whole game and the leader of definitively the top guild Mad, Deez. Deegs. We got Deez here. Do you guys know Deez is the best player in Montreal? Deegs. Sorry. He's nowhere to be seen, and he will be nowhere to be seen because he quit the game. And this is a player who's stuck with other gachas for much longer, and he didn't even make it 2 years in this one. It's just one guy, but he's not just one guy. I think any content creator, anyone active in the community knows a nice handful of people that were spending more than you'd ever dream of a month, and it's all gone. So I think this is a serious issue. I think it's a good way to kind of end it. You got any final thoughts, Deez, not Deegs, and Mr. Corey?
I just hope that they do something because I hate seeing players leave. And even in like my community, there's been quite a few players like, yo, Deez, I'm out. It's been a pleasure. And then, it hurts the soul. It hurts the soul. We need to do something to fix this so they don't get demoralized when they're pulling their shards and not getting the hero they want. If that happens continuously, like one guy, he told me for the past 10 banners, he'd never pulled a single banner hero. And that was enough to say, F this game, I'm out. So, Hopefully there is a solution to this.
Really quickly, and then we'll go to you, Corey. I just want to show people some math on it, right? So to miss 10 banners in a row might sound like impossible, but it's actually, even with the good rates, which aren't good because you can still miss, like doing that, assuming you hit one legendary per banner, right, would be 1 minus what's the chance? Let's call it 19.5%. And then raise that to the 10th power. You guys can see math's already popping up. I do this a lot. This is calculating the chance that he would hit. So an 88.5% chance. We can just delete this, and this is the chance that he wouldn't hit. You'll see it's about 11.4% chance, which is unlikely, but it happens. It actually happens to 11.4% of people. So what this means is, speaking to the attrition stuff and the loss of players that Sebastian was discussing, this means if you have 1,000 players, 114 players are going to miss 10 banner heroes in a row. And those 114, I would think about half of them are going to quit, right? So it's a very real thing, and the numbers are very legit. Sorry for my sloppy math, but I think it's a great point you're making, Deez. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, and Sebastian, you can probably attest to this, right? Because in Overlord Guild v Guild, we have a rule where you go ahead and use your diamonds, your gems on farming, right? So that means we typically go ahead and spend money on summons. And typically, if we go ahead and spend money on summons and we don't get the banner heroes, we quit. It's a number one thing. And when you think about it, just Guild v Guild in general and then Arena, they tend to go ahead and be filled with people that spend a lot of money. And when you think about if these people are stopping their spending, Moonton will definitely feel it in the long run. And then what happens is we communicate this to other people. And then other people that would normally not spend or would think about spending don't spend.
Yeah, people say don't
Exactly.
bother.
It's a compounding fact. Exactly.
Yeah.
So in regards to the spending thing, let me throw you out a number here. So when in terms of me keeping track, like Tower and Magic App, I think it's the Magic Rocks is the other one that I keep track of all this stuff. But if you guys look at the data from a year to 9 months ago, the United States was outpacing the Chinese servers in terms of spending 3-1. And this was when the game was at the top. Everything was going good. As things started progressing, now everything has gone, especially with the switch to Skystone here in the United States and everything that occurred there with the BitDance ban and then things normalize. Now, if you go look at the numbers, Chinese spending is just the same as American spending. To me, that is telling me that there is a player base heavily from the United States, at least, that is just saying we're leaving or we're not going to spend anymore because of things like this. So again, the reason that this is a serious kind of issue that we need to address is because if you're not losing the player, you are not getting that player to spend anymore. Yeah. Because the banners are being read.
Yeah, and actually, if I can just speak directly to you, Moonton, I know it might sound hard to do, but if you made it more likely to get the characters, find that sweet spot, instead of those players throwing their hands up, giving up, you never get any more of their money, you would get more of their money. Because instead of them settling for A1 Numera, they'd say, it wasn't that expensive. You know, it was only $800 to get her A1. I can spend another $1,000. That's what would happen. I know all these people. Like, I do a million takeovers. They're all paid. I know this kind of player. Amazing player. Very wealthy player. And they would do it. To them, that is completely worth it. And so think about it. You lose all the future money because they quit. But also that in that moment of earning potential on that banner. I mean, let me know if you want to be honest. Let me know if that's you in the comments, because I know some of you guys are watching. You know, if you could guarantee you're going to get Numera A3 and $1,500, a lot of people would just do it. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of people would. Corey, I'm sure you played GVG with all of them.
Yeah.
The final thing, right? Like we said, we hope they take it seriously. I think that's the last thing you just said, Deez. We think they are. We hope they are. They've highlighted this twice. They've gone out of their way to pick a question and give a fairly straightforward answer that we are actively having an internal discussion. Here's hoping they keep having those discussions. I want to give a final thank you to our 3 guests. Let me know if you like this format of video. I had 3 amazing guests. It's a hard video to put together, but yeah, 3 lovely gentlemen. Definitely go check out these channels. Dr. Deez, we got Corey WOR, and we got Sebastian Canes. Thank you guys so much for joining. I'll do a little plug. Are we allowed to say this? I think we probably can at this point.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the video. We are going to do the round 2 of the Taya Championships. Corey was in round 1, but in round 2, it's going to be me and Dr. D's versus Sebastian and a mystery partner. So you'll have to look out for that. Let's just say, I think him and his partner are expecting a smashing result. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Fastidious. This has been Dr. D's. This has been Corey. This has been Sebastian. We appreciate your time. Please let us know all your thoughts, suggestions, other solutions in the comments. Please take this seriously, Moonton. Share with your mother, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.